This is the 2026 Renault 5 Turbo 3E, and to understand why it exists at all, you have to go back to 1980. Back then, Renault put the engine where the back seats of its cheapest car had been. They built 400 of them, not because anyone wanted 400, but because that was the number a rally license demanded. It worked exactly once. Monte Carlo, January 1981, car number 9, Ragnati and Andri, won outright. Then physics arrived. 3 weeks later, Audi won Sweden on 4 driven wheels, and every rally car that mattered followed, so the Renault's legend rests on that one perfect night. 46 years later at Goodwood, Renault brought its answer. Subscribe, because this is what it built. 2 seats, 6-point harnesses, and a cage where a backseat used to be, which is the same idea as 1980, rebuilt for a century that does not use petrol. Renault claims 555 horsepower from 2 motors, both of them mounted inside the rear wheels, and then it claims a number that sounds like a misprint: 4,800 Newton meters. It is real, but it is measured at the wheel, and because the motors live inside the wheels, there is no gearbox between them and the road to divide it down. It is the figure every electric car quietly has, and nobody prints because everyone else keeps a gearbox to hide it behind. Renault simply took the gearbox out. So Goodwood, and what that number does to somebody who has never sat in one. These are not test drivers. They queued for this, strapped into a prototype beside a driver they never met, in a car lighter than a family hatchback with more power than most 1990s supercars. Nobody stays composed, and that is rather the point, because Renault could have brought a still car and a velvet rope, and instead it brought the keys. 800 volts, 70 kilowatt hours, a claimed 400 kilometers, and a handbrake wired electrically for the one thing this car was honestly built to do. The rear brakes are larger than the front ones because the motor took the middle of the wheel and the disc had nowhere to go but outward. Renault calls it the most powerful road-going car it has ever built, which, after the Espace F1, is a carefully chosen sentence. Renault will build 1,980 of them. One for the year the original arrived, each individually numbered, and you choose your own, from €160,000 with deliveries in 2027.